Greetings, welcome back, Dark Horses. We got another podcast for you. I'm Dr. Armbar. This is Professor Giraffe Crab.
Coming back at you. Let's see. What we got a little housekeeping.
Housekeeping stuff, yeah.
All right.
Start with housekeeping.
Yeah. Make sure you like and subscribe, comment, let us know how we're doing. Let us know if you want any information. If we're screwing everything up or if we are your favorite thing ever, let us know. We can really use that feedback. So
Funny, random, or odd comments are greatly appreciated. So, yeah, let them fly.
all right. So where were we last time? We were working
Last time we were talking about competition.
Yes.
Getting ready for competition.
Right. Competition mindset.
Yeah. Techniques, strategies, tactics, everything to get ready for a competition. And then we had a competition, and you saw some things.
Oh my gosh, I was so excited. I saw a lot of things in this most recent competition. And I mean, like the first things off the top of my head is always going to be super duper positive, right? Like I was super excited and proud of all those people that got out there and tried.
Absolutely.
Right.
Every time, 100%.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, like you could have sat at home and, watched the Nuggets and drank a beer and done nothing with your Saturday.
They put it on the line. They risked injury in public in front of a bunch of people and came out all right,
Yeah.
We had a lot of wins. We had some golds, some silvers, some bronzes. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I saw.
Did you see a reflection?
Oh boy, did I see a reflection! I saw myself in all my students, and I saw all of my bad habits brought into sharp focus and exacerbated. I came away from this most recent tournament thinking, oh buddy, I've got to do some studying. I have got to get better at Jiu Jitsu.
Hey, me too. I want to get better at Jiu Jitsu.
Yes.
You have any ideas on how to do that?
I've got a few ideas on how to get better at Jiu Jitsu. Yeah, I mean, I think the kind of one of the short ideas that we can play on really easily is that you play how you practice. So we need to practice all those things that we're gonna see as we play. And one of my biggest weak spots in my game is takedowns. I'm not terrible good at takedowns. I've got good takedown defense, and I pull guard and I use my guard to high effect. That's
You know a bunch of takedowns.
I know a bunch of takedowns, but it's not my go-to thing, and so I don't put enough emphasis on it. And so, the students over this last weekend, unfortunately, kind of paid the price for my style. I think. So yeah, I mean, I think one of the easy things, one of the direct things to do in getting ready for a competition is practice all three dimensions. Right, practice on the feet, practice the up and down game as well. You can't ignore it, and that needs to be both offensive and defensive.
Yeah, there's always time constraints, right? There's only so many hours in a week. There's only so many classes they can take. So what are you going to focus on within that time? But having them spend some time on their feet, so they have a comfort level, is it's definitely going to make them more prepared for a tournament. I do find a downside to where they just learn to take downs and they want to try that in the tournament to their own detriment because they just learned it. They're not any good at it.
Right.
It's not the place for experimentation. But yeah.
Right. But at the same time, I mean, especially in the early stages of competition, of the early stages of jiu-jitsu, everything is an experimentation. I mean, they're experimenting with that armbar just as much as the takedown, and Yeah, I mean, I think, and that's again just kind of like a stylistic thing on my part where I need to put far more emphasis on that, even if it's not my favorite thing. And I think that's a good piece of advice for all jujitsu practitioners out there. And actually, this isn't even my advice. It's like way back when. Is learn everything. Learn, like, pay attention to all the moves, even if it's not your favorite thing. It might be your opponent's favorite thing.
Yep.
Right? Like, you don't have to be the best at the double leg takedown, but know how to do it, know what it looks like, know what the mechanics are.
Know how to defend it.
Yeah, yeah, because
Counter it if possible.
yeah, you're gonna run into you don't know what. It's gonna be it's a mystery when you get out there in the competition world. So
They come out there in a really low stance and they start jittering around. Here comes a double leg.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's some like classic tells, some classic indicators, right? Like the full on knuckle dragging, the guys that
Yeah.
drop their shoulders to their knees
Yeah.
and hands are like literally scraping the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going for a double leg.
You know he's not looking for a collar grip.
Right.
That's not what he's looking for.
Right. Meanwhile, the guy that comes in with his left hand on his collar and his right hand tight
Yeah.
isn't going to shoot.
No. No.
Also, don't let him get that hand on you. Yeah, it's interesting to think about because for my game, I feel very confident in my takedown defense, but we have not got all of the stuff that's in my head out and into the heads of all of the students that need it.
We just need that thing from the Matrix, and then we'd be good.
Right.
Stab the needle into the back of their brainstem.
Yeah.
No downsides to that, right? We could start experimenting today.
The downside would be classes would be much more expensive because you'd only need to take the one.
Well, ongoing expenses, but that one class would be really expensive.
Yeah.
Because you're getting all of the information.
Right.
But yeah, ongoing bills might be tricky. And then getting there would be tricky because we'd have to experiment. So we have to stab a lot of people in the brainstem. So,
Yeah.
Going to jail and stuff.
So now, as I am currently being investigated by the Denver police for a stabbing incident.
A stabbing. Should we talk about this?
So it was dark. And I was scared. No, wait.
Shivering in his boots.
I mean, deny. So anyway.
Let's pause here. So we have made a reference here with our choice of treats. Put it in the comments below if you know what the reference is. We have gummy bears here. And this is scotch.
We have all things good.
We do not have Bailey's though, Professor.
We don't.
Does that make you sad?
It makes me feel feelings. If I were to make an assessment.
I remember feeling feelings.
Yeah. I used to feel a lot of feelings and then.
You felt tired of it?
Yeah.
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 These things happen.
Sis, love you. So now you're coming at competition and especially the takedown game from a very different angle. You came into jiu-jitsu having wrestled.
Yeah.
At least some in high school.
4 years of
All
high
the way
school.
through? Okay.
Yeah.
So having a background, having a takedown game to begin with, do you find that you have extra emphasis in that? It's easier for you to translate your takedown game to students? Is it easier for you to prepare students for a competition because you have that skill set in your bag?
Short answer is no. There are some like fundamental pieces like how to move, like I'll pick up on people if they're shuffling or whatever, but they're staying, if they're falling, they're putting their heels down as opposed to staying on their feet, or they're like crossing over their feet or stuff like that. But I don't. My wrestling game in high school kind of slowly faded away. I mean, the pieces are still in there, but it's not something I use at all in my jiu-jitsu on any sort of regular basis. The first couple tournaments I competed in, I like shot my blast double, get him down and smash him, and then by purple belt, like I wasn't doing that anymore. I mean, it is hard to take someone down with a gi on with a double leg once they get their collar grip.
Yeah.
It's hard to shoot a double, you know?
I don't know that I've ever attempted a takedown in a competition.
It takes a lot of energy
Yeah.
to take someone down to the ground when they're resisting.
Yeah.
Pulling guard doesn't take energy, and then you're in your best guard position, which requires not that much energy comparatively, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like pulling guard.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I think when I was a white belt for my very first tournament, my coach told me, "Hey, we don't have time to make you really good at a takedown. So you're gonna tie up and pull guard, and start playing your guard game." And that worked out really well. So
Yeah.
I just stuck with that same plan.
So you wrap your long ass legs around them as fast as possible, and that turned out well for you?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yep. Yeah. No, it kind of reminds me of your definition of strategy. Yeah, and that's exactly what it is.
Hit the other guy as fast as you can and as hard as you can. Where will hurt him the most when he ain't looking?
Mm-hmm. Real jiu-jitsu right there. I'm going to take my biggest and best thing against your smallest and weakest point, and I'm going to do it.
If I can catch you in the off moment,
Yep.
all the better.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that can get into a piece of mentality, a piece of competition preparation that is kind of overlooked, in that, like, we, in our everyday lives, in our cooperative engagement with the world, we want everybody to be okay, and we're taking care of people, and everything is safe and nice and polite. We're all with these rules, and it can be tough for people to flip the switch and say, okay, I don't want to hurt anybody, but I'm going to do my thing, and if people get hurt, then it's a natural consequence. Right? I think, yeah, it can be tough. And I saw a couple of students before the competition, kind of really having to work on flipping that switch.
Doesn't come natural for everyone. And some people, it's like buried deep down. They're so socialized or whatever it is that they don't want to go for a submission. They don't want to, the whole thing kind of is, yeah. But it's good for them to go through it, and it's good for them to like push through it and kind of find that part of them. In comp training, I'll like push them to slowly crank it up until, push. I'll say how that is definitely something that's inside of them, because their genes got passed on through thousands of years of, survivors, to say it nicely.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're, I don't know, it's like people can't separate or don't separate anger and violence. Right? And yeah, if you are angry and you're going to harm someone, that's a bad thing. Right? But if you are willing to get violent in your match, that's a really good thing, right? Like that's how you detach that hand from the belt so you can get your Kimura, right?
Yeah.
They could put a little violence into it. Violence and anger are not the same. And yeah, I mean, we need to. It can be tough for people to separate from that socialization and get violent, but if you're getting ready for a jiu-jitsu tournament, you're getting ready for competition, Right? MMA is even more extreme. You got to be willing to get violent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Separate that in your head, but it's still like,
And that's definitely how I think of it. Like I let the savage out finally. Like I don't have to be nice anymore. So I had to lose weight. I had to suffer. Someone has to pay, and it's whoever that is across from me. But then other people they focus on it more like a sport. And they're like trying to play the game to the best of their ability, and that's a more effective way for them to compete in jiu-jitsu. And some really high level competitors are kind of more like that. I don't want to say like Sean Waddle,
sure.
he's like playing the game, rather than trying to be violent per se. So there are different ways to do it well, do it at a high level.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely like my brain goes into survival mode. I'm like, oh no, okay. I'm violent like a mongoose is violent. Like I don't care about points. I don't care about time. I don't care about whatever. Like that snake right in front of me is gonna kill me if I don't kill it. So I go after him. Like not like anger or whatever. Like, oh shit, that's a threat. Have to eliminate it right now. But so far that's worked out really well competition wise.
Yeah, you were supposed to compete this last weekend
I was
before they cut the divisions.
Yeah.
So you're looking at competing again here soon?
Yeah, so I would like to do, there's another tournament up here in April, locally. And then there's also the Arnold Classic in Ohio. And I would kind of like to be the second person from my high school to win the Arnold Classic.
Which brings up the question, who was the first?
Brian Shaw.
Brian Shaw. I've heard that name before.
Yeah.
Is he a large man?
He's a large man. A very large man. Yeah, Brian won the Arnold Classic in the strongman division.
Is he a strong man?
He's a very strong man. He is, in fact, the strongest man.
In what?
In all the world. In all the lands. Yes.
In all of the lands.
In all of the lands.
Yes. World's strongest man, huh?
Yeah, he is a 4-time world's strongest man. He's 6'8", 425 pounds. Dude's just monstrous huge.
Yeah.
So, on the upside, I don't have to fight him at the Arnold Classic.
That's big?
Yeah.
That's big. They still have weight classes.
Right. Well, and also, he wouldn't be doing jiu-jitsu. He's doing the strongman part far away. Right? Like, yeah. I would do the jiu-jitsu, but yeah, I'd like to be the second person from my high school to win the Arnold Classic.
How big was he in high school?
In high school, he was still 6'8", but he was only like 245 pounds.
Tall, skinny.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, and they started lifting in college, and
He decided he really liked that. Did he play any sports in high school?
he played basketball. Yeah. Yeah, never played football, anything like that. But yeah, played basketball, and then went to school on a basketball scholarship, and started hitting the weight room real hard, and then
Screw that round ball stuff.
right.
Let's move heavy things.
Yeah, well, then he took the big round Atlas stone, 400 pounds of round ball.
I was wondering where you're going with that.
Yeah, no, that's the like how that's their final sprint thing for the whole show.
Yeah. It's a basketball thing of sorts.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, in the near future, I would like to do the Arnold Classic, and so with that, I'm looking at like a pretty strict, well-formulated camp, designed to get me ready to take on multiple black belt opponents. So,
boom.
That might be a real tough camp, but
Should be.
yeah, it should be, and it'll be great. It'll be a great tool for everybody at the school to help, kind of emphasize a bunch of different stuff. I'll have to work on some very, high high pressure and technical escapes. I'll have to, put together different rolling groups and drilling groups and different things. So in putting together that camp, it'll turn out really well for a lot of the students.
When is the Arnold Classic? Did you say how long that is till that's up?
August, I think. Jamie, could you check on that for us?
Arnold Classic?
When is the Arnold Classic in Ohio?
In Ohio.
That's Columbus, Ohio.
C-Bus, as they call it.
Arnold Classic. Do I put BJJ?
Yeah.
Ohio. 2021. I do not have the Googling capabilities that Jamie has.
So we got Sea Squishes,
Sea Squishes.
Gummy Bears.
I got an Arnold Sports Festival.
Yes.
Yeah?
It is a festival of sports and
It
sportings and sportages, gummy worms, and then sour gummy worms. So what is your favorite, Professor?
I'm a traditionalist, so I'm a big fan of worms. Just good old fashioned worms, and I love sour worms. But at the moment today, I'm just kind of feeling good old fashioned.
The gummy worms.
Yeah. Classics.
Well, I'll try one of them in your honor.
Yeah.
Here's looking at you, Professor.
We still have to be determined on everything that is USA. And there's virtual expos.
Ooh, Professor, are you gonna sign up for the virtual Jiu Jitsu tournament?
Oh yeah. I will virtually whip every ass.
Let's do this.
So it has been joked about that if I ever did MMA, I would be able to kick my opponent from the locker room.
The upside of being a giraffe crab.
Yeah. So I think if we get some of these virtual events going on, and
Here we go.
I can wrap my legs around them digitally from far away, I have a really good chance of doing well at this tournament.
Yeah. All right.
So
What do you have there, Jamie?
I'm going to have to scratch that because that was for 2020
2020.
in March.
Professor, how's that time machine coming along?
oh goodness.
I have
So-
one in my pocket.
Right. I had my time machine scheduled for release in April of 2020 and it got delayed. So then it was scheduled for October,
Yeah.
but it got delayed.
Oh.
And then I pushed it back to December. And it's on hiatus indefinitely.
How's the Kickstarter going for it?
The Kickstarter for the time machine is funded 6 times over.
Nice.
Yeah. But we haven't done any of the prize tiers yet, so we still can't.
More funding.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're doing good. The time machine is going to happen. Wait, no. The time machine have happened.
It will have been happened.
It will be going to have done. Been happened.
Now.
Yeah, because time travel is weird. And since it will be and has, it will be and will always have been.
A world without end.
Tra-la-la.
Well, we're at least amusing ourselves at this point. I need another scotch. How you doing, Professor?
I am set. I'm a slow sipper on the scotch.
You heard it here, folks. First, folks, he is a slow sipper. Oh, yes.
Ooh, here we go.
20.
2020. Fuck.
Did you look it up in Smooth Comp?
Arnold class.
Arnold Classic.
Might be a few clicks away here.
Yeah, so let's see. I think the big concepts and the big lessons that I would incorporate into my training camp that I think would help students or people getting ready for a tournament in general.
Go.
So I like to start my camp or start my program with struggle. In those first, the first third would be the build-up period, right? Where if I'm going to add any techniques to my game, that's where I'm going to rep them. If I'm going to put on weight or strength, or if I'm going to change any of the way I move, I'm going to do it in that first third of the camp, right? So if it's a 12-week camp, it'd be that first 4 weeks. That's also where I'm going to amp up cardio and start getting on the cardio game. But then also, I set up my training so that I'm failing all the time.
First part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's just setting up bad position drills, right? Setting up takedown defense, setting up, intentionally choosing partners that are heavier than me over and over and over again, or choosing partners that I know have a better takedown game or are faster than me or have some advantage.
Any strength they have, you can put yourself into it, right?
Yeah.
So even with blue or purple belts, you can really challenge yourself.
Absolutely. And honestly, even get white belts, brand new folks that are significantly heavier, 20, 40, 60 pounds heavier than me. I have to move them around in a different way. I have to work my strategy in a different way, and it builds up the game. It also builds up toughness, right? And I think that's it's easy to train the body, right? Because we can see the result, we can see what we're doing.
Yeah.
I'm putting in this effort, and here's the sweat I snap off my arm, and right, it's like 1-to-1 direct results. But we don't think about training our toughness, training our perseverance, our resilience.
Pushing through it.
Yeah, and so setting yourself up to where hey, this is hard, and I did it. Right? I got that success for myself.
Next time it's hard, push through because you can get through it.
Yeah, and and maybe the next session I'm gonna add 1 more minute to the clock, and make it harder and push through that. And so in the first third, it's a lot of failure and a lot of building. In the next third of the camp, essentially, I'll try to get my weight pretty in the window where I like it, within a few pounds of my final fighting weight, so that I have plenty of time to get comfortable. I'm not feeling drained or low energy. I'm not dehydrated. I'm not having to do anything weird with my weight. And then I'll keep the cardio going. And I'll just repetition. Every angle, every option from my game, every different path that I can take within my skill tree.
Your mind map.
Yeah, right. I'm just gonna put in the reps and try to fill out as much of that game as I can.
Get it all smooth, where pieces interlock and connect together, and all the different options are there, and they interconnect.
Yep.
The guard replaces connect to the triangle, really, but the guard game.
Mm-hmm.
The sweeps connect to the guard pass.
Yep.
Guard pass connects to the transitions. Transitions connect to the finishes.
Mm-hmm. And then in that last third, just trying to go brainless, trying to just make the body do autopilot. So
Flow training.
yeah, a lot of flow training, a lot of A to Z drilling. I'll start from feet, my favorite takedown, my favorite sweep, my control position, my finish, and then one little variation, and just repetition, just greasing that groove until I can do it brainless, until I can do it in my sleep, right? Until it feels weird to do a different move. And the whole time just working that cardio, working grip strength, and then just telling myself, focusing on, all right, another, go again, don't stop, don't quit, So I'll add in throughout the camp a lot of specialized training, at the end of a session, get super duper tired, gassed out completely, and then go back to mount escapes or go back to the side control escapes. And so, when you're exhausted and you can't do it anymore, practice doing your life-saving stuff then.
Excuse me.
So the Arnold Classic is going to be June 12th and June 12th and 13th.
June 12th and 13th, 2021, Columbus, Ohio.
Yes.
You heard it here first, folks. Charles Gaffield, Arnold Classic winner, 2021.
Gold medal. Top
Gold
of the
medal.
podium.
Second ever winner of the Arnold Classic from Fort Lupton High School. Go Blue Devils.
How many people were in your graduating class at Fort Lupton?
156.
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I had something similar in my graduating class. How long of a camp do you want to do? You're going to do a 6-week camp, an 8-week camp, a 10-week camp?
Usually I like to do like an 8 or a 12-week camp. For whatever reason, I like things divisible
But not
by
10.
4. Yeah,
8 or 12?
8 or 12. I don't know.
Not a 4-week camp. That's not enough.
No, a 4-week camp, you might as well just sign up in the absolute and jump in there.
I've never done a 12-week camp. I bet you feel super prepared.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
I hope so. Yeah. But I don't know. I just I think having something to work for, having that little dot on the horizon.
June 12th.
Yeah, June 12th.
It's not that long away.
No.
So 8-week camp would be March, April, May, June, mid-April, April 12th.
So essentially, I can do this Grappling Industries tournament and then take the weekend off, start the camp.
When's the next Grappling Industries?
April 11th?
But then that'd be 7 weeks.
Yeah.
That's an odd number.
That's weird.
Not only not divisible by 4.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe talk me out of that one.
Well, I just wanted to run through it, like
Yeah.
you do you. But if you like divisible by 4, that ain't it.
So have you had a camp? So I guess a two-part question. Have you had a camp that was successful in a noteworthy way? And have you ever had a camp that failed? Camp that
less than 5 weeks is not a viable camp length. 5 weeks is like the hard minimum. 6 is better. For me, 8's better than 6 even. Yeah. 4.5 weeks is not enough time for me to get ready for a competition. Not to be in prime physical, mental state.
It's funny because I would encourage, we had several white belt students that were asking about the tournament, and I encouraged them to do it with 5 weeks or less notice. And I think with the first few tournaments you do, if you're doing white belt tournaments, not really that big a deal, right?
You still don't know what you're doing, so just get out there and do the best you can.
Yeah, just get the experience, see what it's like out there, and do a thing. But yeah, I very much agree with you. If I'm going to step on the mount with a black belt
In public, people probably filming.
Yeah,
Black belt's going to try to break your shit.
Right off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 5 weeks, not enough.
It's not enough.
No, gotta have. Yeah, at least. I don't know. I think even a 6-week camp would feel pretty rushed to me.
It's pretty rushed. But,
Yeah.
8-week camp. Or I hear 12-week camp's really nice.
12.
Luxurious. It's the Cadillac of fight
Right.
camps.
Right. I mean, it gives you that whole extra month to put on weight if you want to, or
Lose the weight.
lose the weight, or
Yeah.
I mean, you could add a whole option to your passing game. Not a whole new passing game, but an option.
I want to point out that Professor Charles has brought up putting on weight for a tournament multiple times now. Some things are different for different people. So, Professor, you put on weight for tournaments?
Uh, at the moment, I would like to put on some weight. Yeah, yeah. I'm like under 170 now, but I could fight at like 85. Just yeah, maybe.
You've lost weight in this pandemic
Yeah,
in solidarity with all the sick people out there.
yeah, yeah. In solidarity with all those folks that couldn't get their workouts in, I just lost muscle mass.
Yeah, I've definitely lost muscle mass too. I'm near 220, but I still have a gut. Whereas before, when I was at near 220, no gut. Or basically no gut. I think that's got to be muscle mass.
Yeah.
All else being the same. Competition coming up. We're originally slated to talk about Jiu Jitsu concepts. Concepts. I think there's a lot of stuff that would be good for people to know, good for people to chew on, ideas, like some of it is completely invisible. And, after a decade or so, you might figure it out. But if someone points it out to you, man, it can really speed up the process, can really help some students out. Is there anything jumping out at you, any concept that you talk about over and over again, something that students really pick up on, or students that saying things that you have to really jam into their head because they don't pick up on it even when you say it?
I think the big one, and we kind of touched on it with competition prep, is just is that failure. I don't know. I think people want to be good at things, and you're coming to jiu-jitsu to coming to jiu-jitsu class to learn jiu-jitsu, to learn to be good at it. But one of the things I have to remind people of all the time is be patient with yourself. Be patient with yourself. You're not going to be good at it now.
Be your own best friend.
Yes, be your own best friend. And when you suck, because you will, be nice to yourself about it. And just put the word "yet" on everything.
Anything negative?
Yeah.
I'm out. I can't escape mount.
Yet.
Yeah. I was going to say I suck at escaping mount, but yeah, it doesn't really help that. But yeah, I fixed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't get out of Professor Charles's triangle. Yet.
I don't remember that being the case, but okay.
I'd stay as far away from it as humanly possible at this point. That's different. We didn't talk about that. That's not what I said.
That's true. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Conceptually, a thing that comes up a lot, or I see a lot, is folks will, for whatever reason, see the two bodies moving and make it more complicated in their head. And conceptually, it's like a box. It's a table with 4 legs, right?
Where are you going with this, Professor?
I'm going with most of your sweeps and guard game is way easier than people think about it. And so one of the concepts that I beat up all the time, and it's deceptively simple, is like, look for empty posts. We're knocking posts out of our partner all the time.
If you have a hold of an arm or a leg, they can't post with that thing.
Yeah.
Can you push them in that direction?
Right. And I mean, like I'm walking by and doing corrections and teaching class, and not infrequently, I tell somebody, yeah, here, check it out. You're taking their post away right here. Just knock them in that direction, and their eyes get all big, and it's it's brand new information. See, I think conceptually, just watch your geometry. Watch your is that box missing a leg? Did you just make a triangle? Did you put their feet in a straight line? Right? Are they like standing on a fence now? Yeah, just like people.
I like that. I think the table metaphor works all the time. If you cut off 2 legs on the same any side of the table, then that table's going to fall over.
Right, and similarly, if you cut off one leg of a four-legged table and lift the diagonal corner, right? You can knock that table over also.
Yeah.
So that's where you get things like, the butterfly. They've got 3 posts down. You just take the one, lift the opposite corner, boom.
Boom.
Yeah, so I think conceptually that one's big. We work on weird balance stuff in jiu-jitsu, so.
I think a concept that meshes really well with that and will make your sweeps way, way stronger if you see where that post that they're missing is. If you push them in the opposite way first, they will push themselves onto the post that they don't have. So push-pull, right?
Yeah.
The most effective way to get someone to push into you in a fight is to push them, right? In normal whatever, you push someone and they move away. But in a fight, if I push you push back, right? So push-pull, like those two concepts together, all of a sudden you have pretty good sweeps, right? If you push them the wrong way first, they're going to defend it just as a matter of course, even if they don't think that they're going to get swept that way, because you're pushing, they're going to push back.
Yeah. Oh, I talk about that in class all the time.
All the time.
All the time. I call it the fundamental mistrust in fighting.
Yeah, that's right.
So I don't know that I've heard that term anywhere else.
But the first time you said it to me, I was like, huh? But yeah, go ahead.
Right, yeah. So the fundamental mistrust in fighting is you are always going to mistrust the person that's fighting you. Because
as you should.
Yeah, because what's good for them is bad for you. So we can use that mistrust to do what we want to do. Right? So if I'm pulling my partner's head down, they assume correctly that that's bad for them. So they want to yank their head up. So I use the head pulled down to get the head up to get what I want. Right? That action reaction, push pull. Yes.
I was going to say David Icke calls it action reaction, but that's same concept, very different application.
Yeah, but yeah, we have that assumption that if it's good for me, it's bad for you, and so we can manipulate that. We can use little double reverse psychology.
And you'll see white belts get into whatever it is you're trying to do. They're just trying to stop it. So like they're onto the fundamental mistrust piece, but they're just applying it in the least effective way possible.
Yeah. Well, and so like the way I use it is largely based on practice, right? I've got all these reps in, and so all these years later, I don't have a whole lot of like tunnel vision. And I think
you're almost always trying to apply a game, not a move.
Right. And so, yeah, my vision is much wider. And I think for new folks, for white belts, you get into that action reaction game, you're starting to move your partner around, but it's very one dimensional. Right? Like, no, I'm going to push this shoulder away from me because I want this shoulder to come back.
That shoulder, I'm not going to let you push it.
Right. And so, yeah, you get in that very kind of one-dimensional thing because it's still just this, and you're not seeing, oh, when I push here, what I'm getting is a move in the foot, and that's what that's what I can take advantage of with this. So, yeah, I mean, just like anything else in jiu-jitsu, we need the repetitions, the exposure, but yeah, even at a very beginning level, we can start using the instinct to protect yourself against your opponent.
Absolutely. And then when people start training, they're often way too tense, right? They get that fight or flight, and they're just like they're rolling at a 10 the whole time, and then they get injured, or they injure someone, or they gas out, or all of the above. And then afterwards, you ask them what happened. They're like, I don't remember any of it, right? They're just lost in the fog of war. So flow training can be a really good way to help with that. Finding someone you trust, you can take out all submissions, right? No one's going to submit each other. You can do it from a certain position where you already know a couple moves. Just kind of play around there. Like, you can break it down a lot of different ways. I think getting rid of the concept of trying to win in jiu-jitsu helps a lot.
Yep.
If you find someone you can trust and you just kind of move around with them and use those pieces of jiu-jitsu, then when you go back to a normal roll, you can kind of find that balance point, not going at 100%, not going at 0%, but just kind of finding that 50% where you're using enough energy. You're still trying to win, but you're not freaking out the whole time.
Yeah. A thing I encourage new students to do is, since you're close enough, right? You're pressed body to body with this person. Listen.
Skin to skin.
Oh yes, one should hope. Extreme no-gi. So you're close enough, you should be able to listen to that person's breathing. And if their breathing is slow and even, then they're plotting, right? They're planning their next move. They're going to hit their next thing in sequence. If they're short, quick breaths, they're getting ready to burst. They're going to pop. They're going to put some energy into it. So you should start building up your tension and response. But yeah, if their breathing is still calm, you can be calm. Right? You don't have to match their chilled out pace with sucked in breath and tight shoulders and stuff.
And if they're breathing hard and they're getting ready to explode, you can still be calm. As a matter of fact, you will respond more appropriately, with better timing, more efficiently, if you are calm. What was the Buddhist thing, right? Your response to any stimuli is your responsibility. Just because they're angry or aggressive doesn't mean you have to be aggressive back. It's the most natural thing, right? Professor yells at me, hits me, whatever. The most natural thing in the world is to get mad and yell or hit back. But my response was still my responsibility, and it is your choice. So getting used to exercising that choice, right? Okay, they're aggressive, they're coming at me. However, I'm going to be relaxed. I'm just going to move around. If I get tapped, whatever, I'm going to try to apply the techniques that I know, and you'll get better at jiu-jitsu more quickly doing that.
Yeah. Well, I think there's an element in there where you get better at the thing you practice. And if you practice being tense, you get better at being tense. If you practice jiu-jitsu techniques, then you get better at those. And you can't really do both at the same time. I mean, I guess you could practice doing your jiu-jitsu techniques in a tense way, but
why?
Why? And it's not going to work super well. So I mean, as you are both drilling and rolling live, pay attention to what you're training. Right? Are you putting a rep into that armbar, or are you putting a rep into
grabbing them and squeezing them really hard because you don't know what to do because you're just trying to win as hard as you possibly can right now? Go, go, go.
Yeah. I mean, you'll get a rep of something today. It's kind of up to you what you want that rep to be. Yeah. So, I really like positional training to kind of build up that confidence. So, like, you don't have to play the whole game and maybe get caught up in corners and stuff that you don't know where they are.
Crazy, weird stuff that isn't that important to your development right now.
Right. And you can even make it competitive and gamify it a little bit. So, okay, well, we got 1 minute goes on side control escapes. And I'm gonna try to get out as hard as I can. My partner's gonna try to get out as hard as they can. And, whoever gets out actually wins that game. Right? We can have our little competition, but limit the rule set.
In space, if you're in side control, who's trying to escape and who's trying to submit? Yes?
If I'm in space, then I'm trying to submit regardless of my position to the other person. Right? And if they're up here across my side, go for that buggy choke or maybe some Hawaiian headlock nonsense or some. I'm gonna get after it.
Does position over submission still count where gravity isn't a thing?
So much less. Certainly. Because side control is...
The hierarchy changes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because mount is close guard if you cross your ankles.
Right.
Is mount.
Right, but the back is always the back. So
Yeah.
Back is still the best.
Yeah.
and in zero gravity, taking the back has got to be much easier.
Oh, man. Berimbolas.
Yeah. Hide their back against what?
Right.
No, you can't hide your back.
Well, and they can't like hold friction against anything either.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if I were grappling in space, I would always be going for the submission, which is a great idea.
50-50, still 50-50.
Yeah. Dark Horse Space program coming in 2050.
Is a sweep still a sweep?
No.
From the bottom to the top, what? That has no meaning in space.
Yeah.
So sweeps are gone.
No takedown points. Unless you're like on the moon in space, but that's not space.
Butterfly guard, is that useful at all? Spider guard, that could still be a thing.
Yeah.
High guard, still killer because you're still going to their back.
Right. Triangles work just fine. Space.
Yeah, mounted triangle or close guard triangle, whatever, same difference.
Yes. In fact, you would probably do your mounted finish most of the time. Using the hip to cut the angle.
Once I got through drinking, I was going to ask you what you meant by that. And there it is.
Yeah, reaching for the far side hip to cut your angle and the triangle twisted up. Yeah. All right, so let's see. Action, reaction. It's a big concept that
Flow training.
flow training.
And I think a thing that ties in with that is this is really obvious to some people, but then completely not at all to others. Maybe blue belt, purple belt. Maybe it's just worth going over, but like the impediment to flow is sticking places. That's absolutely a thing to pay attention to in jiu-jitsu, right? If you get stuck in a certain position, that means you don't have answers, right? Or your answers aren't good enough. Either way, it's a area for further study. Which leads to another concept, the importance of names, right?
Yeah.
And like asking specific questions of your instructor, like, oh, I can't escape mount. I mean, I can show you mount escapes, but you're trying stuff and you're failing at a certain point, right? So if you can point that out and ask me that specifically, oh, I'm trying to get to mount, I'm trying to get out of mount, I can't get onto my side, or I can trap the foot, I can't trap the foot, like whatever. That can give you a much better answer for asking specific questions.
Yeah. Though there is an element of that, and I think you kind of hit on it earlier, where, especially in the beginning, folks don't know what they did. They don't know what happened. They can't remember what the role was. And
It's all a blur of pain and bright lights, and things feel weird, and they're really, really tired.
Yeah, and so folks can have trouble sometimes identifying the place where things went wrong, because just... the whole thing went wrong.
The place where it really, really hurt, as opposed to the place where it just kind of hurt.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's, as a student, that's a thing that you can, like, that's a...
Like a
little
you're
feather
learning
in
the
your
names, right? Like I'll teach a move, I'll teach a position, and then they come back and they're like, oh, and they just like, they've clearly made up some other name for it in their head, and they tell me that like I'm supposed to know what they're talking about. And I'm like, okay, the name for it is this, so use that every time, and then blah.
So I've started, as I finish presenting a technique, and we're ready to break out and do reps, I'll make sure that I say the name that I call this thing. Yeah. I'll say the whole thing, yeah, and then break on whatever. Yeah. You know, it's specifically. So, like this week, it was, all right, guys, elbow escape from the mount, break on 2.
Yeah, and that's a good sandwich, right? Start with the name of it. We're going to go today. We're going to go over agreement pass from half guard, show the thing, break down the pieces, say the name again, send them on their way.
Yep.
Still yet, they'll ask you about that underhook pass.
Yep.
But make sure you learn the names, right?
Yes. And bearing in mind that a lot of things have multiple names or will change depending on the school or different things.
Jiu-Jitsu has a naming problem for sure.
Yeah. Get as close as you can get. And then too, there's the concept, like Jean-Jacques Machado, name all of your techniques something that you will remember. Name it something that sticks in your head.
Crackhead control.
Yeah. Now, while I think that does have some merit, it really adds to that jiu-jitsu naming problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Every person learns differently. Interested in different things.
Yeah.
If your academy has a name for it, learn that.
Yes. 100%. Yeah, and then call it that and remember that, because that's what your coaches are going to be shouting at you at a tournament when it's really important that you do that thing right now.
Right now, yeah. Yep. If there's no name for it, come up with your own name. Start using that. See if it sticks. Some memification of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Picking names that stick.
Yeah. But yeah, once you've got it down and you can codify it and you can work within your notes, like keep it the same. You don't want to changing up your.
My friend Brandon Mullins was talking about when he started taking notes, and then he went back like a year later and he's reading like some of his first entries and is talking about my sweep, blah 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 blah, and I get here and then I do my sweep because he was doing it all the time at that period of time, and now he's like, what the hell sweep was that? I don't even remember. My sweep. I do my sweep. Okay.
Oh no.
Oh yes. When I first started journaling jiu-jitsu, like I was taking private lessons from this black belt in Brazil, and I was writing it out, and it was like a page-long entry of notes to describe one move, like that he was teaching me. But like to get enough detail in there that I was confident that I would remember it later. It was a lot of description of the position and where I was grabbing, whatever, and then I would even put like pictures in there sometimes. And then, after a year or so of it, I had like my shorthand down, and like the same move. If I learned it again anew, it'd be like 2 sentences. And I think this is profound and important because I'd literally taught my brain how to think about jiu-jitsu a lot more clearly, in a lot more detail, and be able to process jiu-jitsu information a lot more quickly. Like all of those things, just from writing moves down.
Yeah.
Which sounds so boring, so not fun, so not sexy, whatever. But I literally taught my brain how to think about jiu-jitsu more clearly because I had the names for it. I had those down. I could connect those names to other positions that were similar enough. I created my own shorthand, which helped me write stuff down more efficiently. But yeah.
Yeah.
My sweep is not a name.
No. Yeah. It's rough. I lost it.
My sweep from Spider Guard.
Ah.
Yeah.
From Spider Guard.
Yep.
It's
the best one.
It's narrow.
It's mine.
It's narrower.
I wrote down, dimmer switch. So we were talking about flow training, people that train too hard, but and I still, I have a dimmer switch over there, but still in my mind, I imagine that dimmer switch that My grandma and granddad had their house. It was a circle, you know, and you could
Oh,
turn
yeah.
it all the way down. You could turn it all the way up. And it's your
Yeah.
hand that controls it, and this is your intensity level on the mat.
Yes. I man, this is a big concept. And it's interesting to, I don't know, interesting to think about. It's like developing the ability to go less than 100% is one of those first big kind of stepping stones,
No.
right? And that, you get to the point where you're not life or death tense all the time. That's a great big thing. Yeah, and then I think later when you develop, a proper dimmer switch, it's still not an absolute kind of thing.
No.
I see lots of folks, like,
It's a skill you develop over time.
yeah,
Right? Something you get better at. Today I'm super sore. I have an injury. I'm gonna get on the mats. I'm gonna roll, but I'm not battling today. I'm just gonna move around. And you slap hands, and they're going super hard. Okay, I'm still not going hard. You tap me, and I'm frustrated. Okay, I'm still not gonna crank it up. I'm gonna do what I need to do for my jiu-jitsu, irregardless. Or I got a competition coming up, and I need to crank it up.
yeah. I think big skill to practice there is making your dimmer switch even across opponents. I've seen folks with the ability to like turn it way down and chill with new folks, and they can crank it way up and just, end it right now. But they start rolling with their instructor, and it's 8 all the time.
Wow.
Uh,
Both ends are important, but most of the time it should be in the whatever 4 to 6 range, right?
Yeah.
Finding that middle ground. There's a concept in judo, and it's a long Japanese word, but it means the exact right amount of strength that you use to get a move to work, and not any amount more than that, right? And you don't find that going 100%. You never find it because you're trying as hard as you can to get that sweep, and you're wasting a lot of energy, right? As you bring it down to say whatever 50%, just to give it a number, you find that right amount. Like maybe you have to crank it up a little bit to get that sweep, and then you bring it back down, the intensity, the speed, whatever, and you find exactly how much strength you need to execute a move correctly and successfully. But only when you slow down, only when you breathe, only when you crank that intensity down a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can only crank that intensity down when you are willing to learn over win. When you say, well, okay, I'll get squished a little bit, or I will lose in the room, but practice good technique and not, well, yeah, practice my good jiu-jitsu and not my winning. Right. Learning to win and learning jiu-jitsu are separate skills.
Interrelated, but separate. And we've talked about building gameness, I think. And it is important. A lot of people are so downtrodden in life. Like it is really important for them to build up their gameness, to build up their belief in themselves, their belief in themselves to win, their belief in themselves to not quit, to not fold like a house of cards. However, separating that from learning jiu-jitsu is tricky.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Game face?
Game face. Oh my goodness, my absolute favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whitney used to always scream no pain face, which
Okay.
works, right? And that was more of a CrossFit, in a CrossFit setting, but game face.
Yes, game face.
Whatever is going on, however tired you are, however terrifying the person you're about to fight or are fighting is, the look on your face says, this is exactly as I planned it. I feel good about this. Or maybe it just says nothing. Maybe it's just blank.
Yeah, and you can get people to quit with just a blank face.
Huh.
Like I've stared at somebody while they hit Americana. I just looked at them with poker face as they did it, and it was there, and like I was ready to tap, but stared at them like it wasn't affecting anything until they quit. That won't work most of the time, but the opposite almost always works to your detriment. Yeah, if you show oh my gosh, not that, right?
They're certainly not going to stop now.
No, that's a good indicator that they should keep going. We come back to that fundamental mistrust.
No. The worst way to not get eaten by a predator is to show it fear.
Yeah. So, yeah, don't react.
Jamie, would you hook me up with another cube, buddy?
Yeah, don't react.
You brought up Americanos. We're gonna wander off from game face maybe for a second. We can come back to it. But I was thinking about when we're talking about intensity, the dimmer switch, like pulling it down, and then an invisible jiu-jitsu thing happens a lot with submissions, joint locks, specifically, but chokes also to a lesser extent. But with submissions, say the Americana, if you force yourself to slow down and you're breathing and you pay attention to how their body feels as you are doing it, you can feel their body gets tight in a specific way when you get to the end of the range of motion. So you know you're at the point where they now have to tap or something is going to break. And you can feel that, and people have different flexibilities, and you can get used to feeling those in time, and it's just feel. You can't see it. You can't see that they're about to have to tap. You can feel it if you pay attention to it, if you slow down. If, as you're drilling, that's a piece you pay attention to, then as you're training, you know exactly where you are within the steps of that submission because you can feel it.
Yeah, that's a huge skill, and I think it took me years and years to develop that sensitivity. But yeah, absolutely, I don't need to look. Right, it's not what it looks like in any submission. It's kind of like the space and the feel and where their tension is. Yeah, Americana is a great one for that example because you can feel very directly where the spring coils.
Yeah. All right, we're at the end. Okay, buddy, you need to tap. Yeah. But if they're looking at your face, they're like, he's not making any face. It's not going to work. I should quit. No, you can feel it. The shoulder is telling you.
Yeah.
His face may be lying. Shoulder isn't gonna.
Yeah. But I mean, that being said, you can absolutely lie to your opponent with a good game face.
Yeah. With pleasure. The exception, the chokes are a little bit different, right? Most people, when you're choking them, their face turns red, and then arteries likely start sticking out on their head. But not everyone, right? And you can't necessarily feel it, but usually they will tense up and or fight harder. Like they'll give you a physical reaction to kind of showing you how close to the submission they are. Like there's always the last burst before they tap. They gotta try to get out.
That's another one. I often encourage folks to watch the breathing. You're into that choke, get the last couple little like panic gasps before they decide that they can't fight anymore.
And in some chokes, you are actually like putting pressure on the esophagus, so you get those those weird gasps, and those aren't necessarily like they're about to be choked unconscious, but they're a good sign usually.
Yeah.
But if their face is turning purple, don't let go. They're about to go out.
Yeah. Well, and then just in general too, don't let go of your submissions because of your opponent's reaction. Let go of your submission because you're transitioning to something else, or because it worked or whatever.
They're escaping or they're countering. Sure.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, they make a bad face at your choke. They're lying. Don't believe them. Just continue to choke.
Don't readjust your choke once you have it.
Slow, steady pressure. Right.
And maybe a lot of small adjustments to get there. Once you're there, keep it. And for like a white belt, like just setting a time limit, say 15, 20 seconds. All right, when I get a choke, whatever choke, I'm going to count to 20. I'm not going to let go of it. I'm going to give it that go. And a surprising amount of time, they'll tap before that 20 seconds is up.
Yeah. I don't usually time it on... I don't usually count it. I'll do it on...
No, you shouldn't. That would be counterproductive for you. But for like a white belt, could be productive because they squeeze as hard as they can for 3 seconds and they readjust. They squeeze really hard for 4 seconds and they readjust. And it's never going to work. Almost doesn't matter how good the choke is. That's not going to work. You're not holding it long enough because you keep questioning yourself or thinking you need to do one more adjustment or whatever it is. Just getting nervous because it's a purple belt or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're just a 2-stripe white belt.
Yeah, I think that kind of that's a great point. Where if you're squeezing and relaxing, you get that like the heart monitor kind of pattern, right? Real high amp up, and then you lose all your strength, and big amp up, and you lose all your strength, and big amp up, and you lose strength. Much better served, much more consistently finish if you just slowly ramp it up in an even way. With your maximum squeeze at the very, very end. Yeah.
Headshots? Golden gun?
Oh.
Golden bullet?
Yes.
Home runs?
Right. The Hail Mary.
Hail Marys?
Yes. Yeah, a little Hollywood something.
Something flashy? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a great idea to have something, I don't know, to have a nuke.
A little spice in the dish?
Yeah.
But yeah. And we're old, crusty black belts, so we're constantly pushing the meat and the potatoes and the carrots and more meat and more potatoes and more carrots.
Right.
Just constantly, because we know that that's what's going to work. However, having something a little pizzazz.
Yeah. Yeah. Overhead sacrifice throw. A little flying armbar.
Jumping X pass.
Yeah. I don't know. Something interesting. Your tornado sweep. Yeah. Having an unexpected move in your bag.
Yeah. Could be a fancy guard pass. Could be a crazy submission. Could be a crazy sweep. Even if it's not super high percentage.
I like to ghost escape from the bottom of side control into the darts.
Yeah.
That's a nice little I've got 15 seconds and I'm in a terrible position.
Hail Mary, let's go.
Try it. Bang. Yeah. And so having a go for broke flashy move can be strategically really, really helpful. Put the whole division on their heels.
Yeah. If you're competing in the first round, you hit a flying arm bar, the coaches, the other competitors that stood around and saw that, they're like, oh shit, that guy. We have to watch out for that guy. And the rest of his jiu-jitsu could be crap, but just the other competitors being psychologically back on their heels is a huge advantage. And guard passing, say a cartwheel pass is a crummy example because that almost never works. But I mean, even that, a cartwheel pass, if they replace and you're now looking at them and they now have to respect that cartwheel pass and be ready to block it, which makes whatever other pass you try to do just that much easier to do successfully, even if the cartwheel pass didn't even work.
Yeah.
Because they now have to defend, say you only have two passes, a cartwheel pass and a knee slice. They now have to defend those two passes rather than just the knee slice.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have an element of defeating them before you ever step on the mat.
Yeah.
Right? They are reacting before a move has ever been played, and action is always faster than reaction. So you're at a huge advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be like an off-speed pitch. It throws off their timing.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, similarly, you pull guard 3 times. You got 20 seconds left. Fight for that ankle pick.
Fake guard pull ankle pick.
Yes.
Sneaky.
Yeah. The off-speed pitch.
You were down by a point. Now you're up by a point. You pulled guard 3 times. They're not expecting a takedown.
Right.
If you just practice one takedown, that's a good one.
Yep.
Connect it to your guard pull. Make them look exactly the same. They will never see it coming.
Yeah, and I think that that's another kind of interesting concept. The like subterfuge, the shade, the hiding your techniques and hiding your game within other game. Right?
It's part of what makes game work, right?
Yeah.
They have to defend multiple things from the same look, right? From the same position, at the very least, but from the same look, kind of generally.
Yeah.
Are they going for the armbar, the omoplata, or the triangle? We don't know.
Don't know. No. Yeah, having multiple things that work off of that same look, having multiple things that attack from the same angle but operate differently. Huge.
You have success with the omoplata. That's great. But then people are going to start defending, right? But the way they defend it, like you'll see patterns, like there'll be a couple ways that people defend it consistently. Those defenses they use, there are ways to attack that, right? And if you figure out how to counter their counters, then your omoplata is now even better, right? Because you can omoplata, but if they defend it, then you move to the the sweep or the triangle.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't have a good concept of this, but connecting all the pieces together, like if you have a good sweep, connecting that to the next thing, kind of the same thing. Like if you always get the fan sweep, then you need to work on your mount submissions, right? But if every time you fan sweep they roll over onto their side, right, then you can work on your technical mount armbar, right? If you get whatever, connecting your guard replaces to your guard game, to your favorite sweeps.
Right. Fluency.
Fluency.
I mean, it's
Learning how to train jiu-jitsu by rolling as hard as you can is like learning fluency by yelling at the other person the whole time. I mean, you can do it, but you're kind of a dick.
Yeah, and not many people are going to want to be your conversation partner.
No.
Clear the room out right quick.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we have the poster up in the school, but Grandmaster Alvaro Barreto says Jiu-Jitsu is a philosophy that says give to win. And I think we start right there.
That's the essence of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. And we start at the very beginning. We start at day one, and if you can give up your speed, if you can give up your ego, if you can give up the tight grips or whatever advantages you think you have, and do the technique as it's shown to you, as if you were like a 1 ounce paper doll with no strength at all, and like you're going to be at a huge advantage. Giving up your entire physical capability and your ego is
Submit yourself to submit others.
right. It's hard to do. But if you can give to win, you win.
The yielding art, right? Everyone says the gentle art. And okay, yeah, that's the most common one. But the second most common one, you look it up on Wikipedia, is the yielding art, right? Give to win. You yield to them. You give them whatever it is that they're trying to take, and you use that against them. It's a counter-fighting art in its nature.
Yes. That you need to be very proactive in.
Yeah. That if you can put them on your path from the start, that's the best, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Other big concepts?
I think that was a good amount for today. We can do some more research. I know I have some more thoughts I've written down on concepts in jiu-jitsu. Tapping yourself, submitting yourself to submit others, right? Like if you can submit, if you can learn to control your own fear, right, then you're going to do way better tapping others out. So you have to submit to your own fear. You have to accept it. You have to embrace it. You have to shit in your own pants, dive in and swim, and learn to relax in it anyways. And then your jiu-jitsu is going to get way better, way faster. Submit yourself to submit others. Give to win.
Yeah.
The yielding art is jiu-jitsu translated into English.
Yielding. All right.
Like, subscribe, leave your, if you know what we're referencing here with the scotch and the gummy bears, put that in the comments. Professor was just reading someone's crazy comment on a different video, but it was highly amusing. So whatever it is you write, it's all good.
Yeah.
Any questions? If you write questions,
If there's
speak into the microphone.
if there's concepts and stuff that you are interested in or you would like to engage with us on a philosophical level, definitely shoot us a comment. Yeah, we'd love to feed off of all of your brilliant minds.
Feed me, Seymour.
Yeah. So, also, should we do? Yeah, if you share this in the next, we'll say 1 week after it's posted, share the screenshots from your shares, and the person who has spread it around the most will get some swag. Yeah, we'll do some giveaway, some goodies for the person that shares this podcast the most.
Yeah, let us know what you want. You want a T-shirt? You want a whatever? Let us know.
You want to be a special guest?
That was what you said. Yeah,
Sure.
Have them be a guest.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Get out there and roll. All right.
Break on 3. 1, 2, 3.